Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Plasma and I like reviews. I've been really busy preparing some cool things for you to see. So today I'm going to review some of my most popular elevators, the 3x3 and 5x5. Let's get started. We're going to do this whole video in one shot. So sorry if I trip up on my words, but we are going to just go with it. So I want to show you guys some things we can do, and we're also going to, so you know, we're also going to add a call button so we can actually call it when we're down and bring it up, or the reverse. This has been asked about, and sometimes there's struggles with it, and I want to help you with some pitfalls and see if I can make this a little bit easier. So let's combine these and do them both at once. So over here, I've set up some obsidian blocks, and let's just start building them. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to show you what they look like torn apart. So this is the piston elevator for the 3x3, and we're just going to add a little bit on top like this, and then we're going to add the slime layer. So in this case, I've actually got an upgrade on it. We're going to actually make these so they max out at 12 blocks. We're going to do a much smaller top than we used to do. So this is going to be 8 because we have 4, so we have another 4, and then you put the 4 on top and it'll be 12. We've got 5 here, so we put 2 down here so we have 7, and then that'll be 12. And so this is a little bit of an upgrade from the old way of doing it. The old way, you might recall if you've seen that video, is that we did a bunch of pistons, but now we only really need to do 1 on each one, so it'll be a little bit faster. And so over here we've got the 5x5. The 5x5 is similar. We're going to put this on the back of it, and that's going to allow us, through using this observer right here, to have 5 pistons. And that's going to let us do it like this. And so it's going to look a little bit like this. So let's go ahead and start on our 3x3. I'm not going to stop these. We're going to launch them into the sun. It's going to be great. So we're going to put this right here. We will use the other ones for the next steps. So here's our piston elevator to start with. Oops. I'm going to go as fast as I can. And if you'll remember, we just put on this block right here, and then we put an observer on it, and then we put 2 pistons on it, like this and this. So right here, and right here, like that. And so now all you've got to do is put your slime blocks on, like so. That's 6 of them. That'll make 7. And then we're going to do our 4 like this. And because this is a slime block, we're not going to have to worry about touching it. So we can actually touch that right there without having any problems. And so now you've got 8. And so now you're done. That's all there is to it. So remember, the first thing you do is prime it. So we need to put a gap on that one layer. And then bye. Wave bye. Bye. Wave at the screen. It's great. Bye. Okay. So let's go and do a 5x5. So a 5x5 is going to be, start with our typical one. And we are going to put it like this. And the difference on this one is we're going to put this right here. I want to say we put it on the sides. Put it on like that. And so what that's going to enable us to do is go, if we go underneath this one, we can put an observer facing down, and that's 1, 2, 3, and then we have 4, 5. Oh, it's so easy. And we go like this, and then we just build out a 5x5. Oh, it's just so easy. Now the tricky part about this one comes with priming the top. Because we're using this observer twice, we have to use this one to prime it, and we also have to make sure that we don't accidentally hit that and cause it to be messed up when we are sending it downward. And we'll show you that on the top, but that one has a special case. And so because we just put 5 on top of each of one block, now we've got 6 of each of them, and they're each moving 5, so that's 11. So this will make 12 if we just put one block on each of them. And so we'll prime it by priming the top. In this case, we're going to actually use that one. And then we're going to say goodbye. Bye. See, you can't even see the other one now that we have the other render distance. Bye. All right, so over here, we've got a 5x5 and a 3x3. And so if you want to build the bottom, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to prime it. And I've got a stopper up this, so these ones are going to stop. So we're going to need to prime it. So we could do this if we wanted. So let's say we wanted to do that. Let's not touch that one. Today we're just going to use the redstone. We're not going to actually put any pistons down to do it like we did the other way. And so this one is going to have almost have a problem, but it won't. And so you can see that they're kind of firing. And you might remember that I showed you a way to force it to prime into a certain state. And so if I wanted to pull this one down, all I would have to do is go over and trigger this one. And this one did actually get stuck because we've got these blocks here. And so let's go ahead and move it down. Ha, we moved that one up. That's hilarious. Let's take these off, as one is good to do. This just makes it safer so that you don't have problems. And now we can go move that one up, move that one up, move that one up. So now it's primed. And so I could even bring it all the way back down if I wanted, doing the same method. And because of the way we put that button, it caused it to push power that one as well. So what we're going to do now is we are going to wait 3 ticks. And let's actually go ahead and use redstone here too. And so if you don't want this to trigger it, you might have to pull it down, but in this case it's not going to do anything because it's down and it's too many blocks, so it can't go. And so you'll remember that how long do we want to wait? We want to wait 3 ticks because that's how long it takes to cycle. So 1, 2, 3. And so all you've got to do is wire this up. You can do it however you want. There's a lot of ways to do your redstone. I'm going to do it like this. And you need to make sure that your redstone reaches the 15 blocks. But see, that's going to trigger on these, and then after 3 ticks, it's going to go up. So let's put a button down, and there it goes. All right, now we'll do the 3x3. We need to prime this one, and then send it off. And so what we'll do is we will put some redstone dust here that won't do anything. And then we will put some redstone dust here that will prime it. And then it'll unprime it because we've got to do a second redstone dust. So literally all we have to do, oops, wrong button, is do 3 ticks like that. Same setup. So we could go like this if we wanted. We could go the other way. So however you want to do it. And so now we're going to go do the tops on them. So now we hit it with a button and it'll go. So now that we're up here, I actually want to put some blocks on top of this now that it's ready to go. So now that we're up here with this one, we are going to stop it and we're going to do a leap of faith. So I told you that because we have 12 blocks, putting 2 blocks right here should stop it. And so just to demonstrate that what I've said is true, we're going to put 2 blocks underneath here and show that that stops it. You ready? So what we're going to do is we're going to send it downward by hitting this down observer. We're going to put 2 blocks right here. So we are not in its way. And we want to stop 1 layer above these. So we're going to have faith that it's going to stop right there. And you ready? And I'm telling you that that's going to go up there. And while we wait on that one, we're going to go ahead and put our blocks on this one, now that we've rectified it. And so now we're going to be at the same level. And just like I told you, it stopped right where we expected it to, 1 block above. See? Because we knew when it had 13 blocks, it wasn't going to be able to move. And so all you would have to do to have a top trigger is you'd be able to put this here. And so let's go ahead and have a top trigger. We're going to have to use a piston on this because we don't want to have blocks up against it because there's slime blocks that have to pass by. You can be a little bit more flexible on your bottom because it's underneath, but because we're above, we want to be like that. And so you don't have to do an observer here if you don't want to. That'll be a 1 tick delay if you're trying to count your ticks. You could do one like this. Let's not do it this time. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we did with all the other elevators. We're going to put these, we're going to feed into them. And then after, and we want to wait on that, and then we want to trigger it. And so remember, we need to have a 1 block gap here so that we don't touch anything. And this is going to, let's make this our pretend upstairs floor. There's our pretend. So these 3x3 is going to be our actual elevator. So now let's go and let's put this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All we should need to do is power this and it'll go. Now the catch is that we need to make sure the timings are right. So we want to move it after we've let go of this, which means we want to wait a little bit. And so who knows how long we want to wait, but we will wait a couple ticks, and that should be plenty of time for this to let go, and us to say move, and for it to start moving. And so now, if we did things the way we thought we did, it'll move down. And it did. And now you're done with the top on this. Next, we're going to do we'll do it right now. We're going to do a recall button. And so if you wanted to do a button, my advice to you, if you want to do any buttons, is that you put a repeater here. And the reason for that is you can run into problems where you miscounted and it's 16 and this one doesn't light up and then one of them doesn't let go and then something weird and nasty happens and it makes you very unhappy. And so we don't want to risk that. And so it's very smart when you're leading into a new piece of the redstone that you go ahead, you say, I want my button, let's say here, and then you make a repeater that this goes into. That way you always know that you're starting fresh and a repeater is splitting up your components, because it doesn't matter where you put a repeater when you have an input signal, because if it goes through a repeater into an input signal, it just comes into your logic 1 tick later. It doesn't matter. And so I could set whatever timings I want on this. It's not going to break the machine. I could do a whole bunch of them. It's just going to wait a long time after you push the button. It will still work. So this button's going to work. And now we're going to build a call button so that when it's up here, not only can we push that button, but we can also call it when it's down there. So what we need to do is we need to send a redstone signal downward. And so let's do the same thing we did on this side. We're going to put a redstone signal and we're going to feed it into sticky piston. And that's going to be too close if it's right here, but it'll be fine if it's 1 block gap away from any other blocks. It can move up to 12 blocks, you'll remember. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we are at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this will be a redstone block, which makes 12. And so it should be able to push that. And so when you're building things, it's very smart to test things whenever you can test them. If you can test it, because nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, but it's much cheaper to catch a mistake early than it is to catch it after you made the mistake. So what this will do is this will come down and it will power this. And we will put a piston underneath here and we will do it again. So this is how you make a downward one. I'm not really counting right now. I probably should be. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we will put a redstone block right here. And we will make it come down. And it will power this redstone dust right here. See? I put that one in there. I did that on purpose just to show you that it would power when it comes down. And so now we'll lead this in. And you remember what I said when we were up there? I said we're going to, whenever we connect things, we want to make sure it's 15, so it never hurts to put a repeater down. Is that more than 15? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if you're lazy, you wouldn't do this in survival necessarily. You can always just do another one. It's never going to hurt you. If you want to keep your lengths at 8 or 9 blocks, maybe you're going up and down a lot because you're underground and you're trying to fit it into your house. And so what this should do is this should launch it from down here. So now we have a recall button. So if we did this correctly, this is going to take it down. And when it goes down, that's going to send it up. And now let's do a button for sending it up here. So let's say we wanted to have our button. We wanted to have a button to go up right here. And let's actually simulate what would happen if you were actually building this. You would need to have something around it, obsidian or glazed terracotta, so that it doesn't drag the slime up against it. And so you would do something like so. So let's say we had 2 buttons right here. And what would happen if I put a recall button here? It would come up, it would push through it. So try and visualize what you're doing. You really want to visualize before you do anything so that you're not surprised later. That's one of the easiest mistakes to make. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to put these, and one of these is going to be a recall button. Which one do you want to do? Why don't we make the recall button this one, and we will move it so it's a little bit out of the way over here. And so we will just come over like this, and you can put it wherever you want, but we're going to, we got to get our redstone dust back. Use middle click on creative mode. And we're going to go up like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you're worried about running out in creative mode, sometimes just don't bother to count and do it one shorter, and then you know you've got enough. See how that will push it? Now we do it so it's down like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what you want to do is you want to feed this recall button into the button that you're pushing. And so you can feed it into this one. And so if I were to take this down to here and say we wanted to put a redstone signal coming into here, and again, remember the rule, have a repeater so that you know you have enough length. You don't have to count when you do that, when you're connecting separate things. So what we'll do is we'll put some redstone here. We'll put some terracotta so that the slime block doesn't drag it, and we will have it power this redstone. And if we did it right, that'll recall it. And so now you've got a recall button in each direction. Now all that's left to do is wire up this button correctly, because I never actually put a button wired up. And you wouldn't want to connect it to like right here. You'd want to connect it behind any of the repeaters at the very beginning. So like right here. So let's say we fed it into this block. That's right. We're going to put a repeater here to say we're coming in from a button. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is really high and far around. Normally you won't do this. Normally you'll be building it so that it was closer. You kind of had in mind the place you were putting it. Because you had that in mind, you knew they roughly where they were, and so you'll never have to actually reach this far. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, and you can tell I'm already running out, so we're going to put one right here. And so that is everything for the 3x3. If we did it correctly, and obviously you'd move your redstone to be elsewhere, then this is going to recall it. You can see it work up there. And then this is going to send it off. And up here, you'll see, if you look down, that this is recalling it and sending a signal down there. And then this is going to go down. So now let's actually test our recalls. You've seen how those work. So this recall should send a signal there, and it shouldn't be any different. You shouldn't have any problems. And so because it's feeding into where we know this button is working, we're just feeding into the redstone that belongs to this button. Sometimes people will color code the blocks they put the redstone on so you can see how the pieces match. But with practice, you should be able to see with your eyes what you built. And so now we're going to recall it from up here to do the other recall. And so it's going to do that one. And see, there it goes up like that. And so there's a little bit of tips. Try and keep your space. Try and test it each step of the way. Make sure you know what's going to happen. It's very easy to accidentally have it one block off and you miscounted, and that can lead to some problems. So now let's do the same thing on the 5x5. So the 5x5, we need a top trigger, and the top trigger is going to be this right here. Well, we can put it anywhere we want, really. Let's put it right here. And you will know that it will stop when it hits these. So I will demonstrate like so. Oh, yikes. That's not happy. So this is actually the problem we ran into that I wanted to talk about with when we set it up, but it'll actually cause a problem in testing. So it's one that you really only want to use when you have it built. And so just because nothing up my sleeve, we're going to do this in one take. Skip ahead if you want, but there you go. And so now it should stop when it gets up there. And so now what we're going to do, we're going to hit the button, and if we did it right, it's going to go up. And it's going to stop when it gets to those. Or rather, I wanted to put blocks underneath it. There, and see, it stopped exactly where we thought it would with just these blocks because it couldn't drag them. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to put these like this. We're going to pull on them. And you'll remember the rule here is the 4-tick delay. I will show you in a second, but what we want to do is on the 2, these 2 are coming off of these pistons, which are powered by this one. We want to hold on to them a little bit longer so they don't do what we just saw. So that was actually a great demonstration of why we're about to do what we're about to do. So if I was editing it out, I would not edit it out, but I was never going to. So this is going to be like this, and we're going to lead around. We're going to put a piston in this one's face. Let's do, you don't want to be this close to it because it'll drag on that piston, so you really have to put it facing, like so. Get rid of those to place it. And so what we will do is we will power it the same way we did the other one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can see I'm running out. That's why I like to do it from the middle. This is a good way to make sure that your redstone can reach. If you're nervous, you can put the same ticks on either side. It's really up to you. In this case, we're going to want to do this. We're going to want to put extra ticks on this one so that it holds onto those blocks while it moves. And because I don't want to have a problem on my hands, I'm going to show you how we did it as a reminder. And so over here, you'll see we built this one. And what we ended up doing is we ended up doing it like this. And I set an extra 3 ticks on this one. The rule for this one is 1, 3, 5. So after 1 tick, these 3 are going to fire. And after 3 ticks, we're going to have that one. And then after 5 ticks, we're going to do these. And so let's go back over there and set it up like that. I told you we don't need these. I'm not going to add them because then you need to increment things by 1 and you start having a hard time trying to make sure you did the math right. And so let's do it by that. And so here's a catch. Here's a catch. So what we're actually doing here is we're actually using this. So this is 1 tick. So this right here is 3, and this is actually 4. And so if we want to do an observer over here, we can do an observer. I could put one down right now. But I'm just going to show you that for consistency, we don't have to do this. Let's do 4 ticks instead. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'll be 1, 4, 5 instead of 1, 3, and an observer, and then 5. And you should get the same exact result. So let us test this. I think that's all we've got to do. Just for example's sake, you're going to have a floor up here, and these can be any blocks you want. My hotbar is full, but that's what we'll do. And so this, if it doesn't work, I'm going to have to eat my hat. But I'm not hungry, and it works. So now, let's do the again, because it's been a struggle for some. Shout out to Josh, who's trying this right now. He left a comment on the 5x5 video that he's having some issues, and so we're going to help Josh out. We're going to show him how I would do some of these recall buttons. And so a recall button for this one, let's assume we want to put it up in the same place. And would this be far enough away from it? It would, because this is the edge of it. So the edge of the slime blocks would be right here. So this would be a 1 block gap. I advise you to bring it up when you do it so that you can actually see the gap. A good testing piece of advice is never trust yourself, because we're all imperfect and we all make miscalculations. So you can actually see that you're not going to touch anything. So now let's go ahead and we're going to put this facing down. That's going to power it. And it's going to, oh, I double tapped. Use spacebar to go up and down with grade of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're starting to run out. We're going to do another one, but we're not going to do it right here, remember. What we want to do is we want to put a block on top of it. That's 1 block down with some redstone dust on top, like so. And so now you can do it. This is how you do the down ones. With the down ones, you have a block gap like the other ones, but not just a block gap. You also have redstone dust and another block, because pistons kind of think they're a block higher than they really are. And so if you didn't put this block in, it would bud a block update detector, and it would behave a way you don't expect it to. And so now we are ready to wire it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to add these on. And it is just like the last one where we are going to put redstone dust right here that's going to touch. And we do not want to connect it here. We want to connect it somewhere we know it works. We're going to put a repeater because we're connecting another section. And so let's put this here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can see that that's enough to make it over to here. And so that should be a working recall button because we know a button works there. So we know this button should work here. And so now, and for shortness, I'm not going to move this button up here. I could move it up here. I will leave that to you. Surely you can run. Now remember, whenever you're moving a button and you have a road to your button, put a repeater when you reach the machine so that it says the same number of blocks so there's no surprises. And so now let's go ahead and put we're going to put it off of the corner here. No particular reason. Remember, could I put these around? No, that would be a problem because we're on the bottom layer. So you've got to have glazed terracotta. Or obsidian, but obsidian's expensive and glazed terracotta is pretty. You've got 17 blocks to choose from. Why choose obsidian? I'm thinking for a second. Let me put, where do we want to put our button? I'm thinking, let's put it right here. And so we're going to lead our piston, and that will power it. Up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-ish. This, and then a piston. But we don't want it right there. We want it right here with a 1 block gap. And we will, I'm going to call it quits right here, actually, because we're starting to get up close to our redstone. And so we want to power this right here. And so what we'll do is we will put some redstone dust that would be powered if we were 1 block higher. And we will connect it up to the button. You don't have to worry about the button going the other direction. But see, now we should be able to recall this from this button. It worked. And now that button should be able to go boop, hit this one, power this, and this will feed around and act as if we hit the button up here. And so that's really the key with doing recall buttons, is you want it to attach to the same place. And you could even probably combine your recall buttons into one and do something really tricky, or combine buttons. But I think it's just fine the way it is. Because what you would do is you would power the other side of it for no reason, and then that button would be undone. And by the time it gets up there, it's not going to matter that you ever did it. And so that would be a neat thing to do. And so that's all for this video. It's been a bit of a gauntlet. We had a lot of success. You got to see some things that can go wrong and what you would do to fix them. And hopefully that will help you with trying to do recall buttons. Hopefully that will help you polish and do quicker and easier 3x3 and 5x5 elevators. I've been Dr. Plasma. Subscribe. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.